Welcome to our first lesson on Bangla script. In this session, we will begin an exciting journey into learning the shapes and sounds of Bangla letters. Today, we focus on two specific sets of letters carefully grouped based on their visual similarities. We will start with set 1, which includes to, o, and a. By understanding their shapes and how they resemble each other, you will take your first steps toward mastering the Bangla script. As we explore each letter one by one, you will see how their forms can be learnt and remembered more easily. So, let's get started and dive into it. The first letter we have here is to. It is consonant or Banjan Borno. There is a horizontal bar which is called matra above the letter. This letter can occur word initially, such as in toru, which means tree, word medially in ator, which means perfume, and word finally as in modot, which means support. It has a reduced version called khondotta, which is also considered as another Banjan Borno. You will come to know more about it later. Now, let's try to write this letter to. In step 1, we will draw the matra. Then in step 2, from the middle of the matra, we will draw a loop and make a clockwise semicircle arc like this. You have now successfully written this letter. The next letter is o. It is a vowel or Shoroborno. The pronunciation is similar to the o of got in English. There is a horizontal bar which is called matra above the letter. It can only occur in its original form in a word initial position as in ondhokar, which means dark. It is the only vowel that has no kar form, but the rest of the Bangla Shoroborno have kar form, which is the diacritic mark of the vowels. Now, let's try to write the letter o using some simple notes. Step 1. As usual, we will begin by drawing the letter to according to the previous instruction. Now, in the next step, extend a slant line downward and then go upward direction till it connects to the matra. You have now successfully written the letter. The last letter of this set is a. It is a vowel or Shoroborno. The pronunciation of a is similar to the a of car in English. There is a horizontal bar which is called matra above the letter. It can also be represented as a diacritic marker called akar, which appears at the right side of the consonant. Now, we shall see some words with Shoroborno a. Note that word initially a can occur in its original form, for example, in which means mango. Word medially it can occur only as akar, such as in lathi, which means stick. And word finally also it can appear as akar, for example, mora, which means dead body. Shoroborno a is not a long vowel version of Shoroborno o. Now, let's try to practice. Begin by writing the letter o using the steps I mentioned earlier. Now, in the next step, from the right side of the matra, extend it a little and draw a straight vertical line downwards. This way, you can practice writing a perfectly. Great! Now, let's learn the next set of letters of Bangla based on the shape similarity principle. Among them, dirghoi, harshoi are vowels or Shoroborno and ha is consonant or Banjan Borno. The first letter of this set we have here is ha. The pronunciation of ha is similar to the ha of hot in English. There is a horizontal bar called matra above the letter. As it is a Banjan Borno, it has no diacritic mark. This letter can occur initially, such as in hal, which means steering for a boat. Word medially in ahoto, which means wounded, and word finally as in shoptaho, which means a week. Now, let's try to write the letter ha. First, we will draw the matra. Then, from the middle of the portion under the matra, we will draw like this and extend a slanted line towards like you are watching on the screen. Okay, this way you can practice writing ha perfectly. The next letter is hoshoi. The pronunciation is similar to the E of ink in English. There is a horizontal bar which is matra above the letter. It has a diacritic marker, roshoi kar, which always get attached to the left side of the Bangla consonants. In its original form, we can get E word initially, such as in eat means brick, and word finally also, for example, chorai, which means sparrow. The diacritic roshoi kar can occur word initially, such as in biral, which means cat. Orthographically, ikar is followed by bo, which is followed by doishunoro. After doishunoro, akar is written. And finally comes lo. But in case of pronunciation, the sound for bo is followed by the sound of roshoi kar. In the similar way, it can be shown that roshoi kar occurs medially in a word like gari, meaning vehicle. Now, let's try practicing writing this letter. First, we will draw the matra. Then, from the middle of the portion under the matra, we will draw like this and extend a slanted line down. That's the same thing we have done in case of writing ha. But there is an extra part to add to write roshoi. Next, draw a wave like this above the matra. Okay, this way you can practice writing E perfectly. The last letter is dirghoi. Dirghoi can appear in the word initial position in its original form. For example, Ishwar, which means God, Egol, which means eagle. From the viewpoint of orthography, it can occur word medially as dirghoikar, for example in deep, which means a lamp. You can always write dirghoikar at the right side of the consonants. Again, from the viewpoint of orthography, it can occur word finally as dirghoikar, for example in nodi, which means river, and in dhoni, which means wealthy. From the viewpoint of pronunciation, vowel length has no significance in Bangla. But from the viewpoint of orthography, short-long distinction is still pertinent in Bangla. Consider the following example. Keel, which meaning fist, but keel, meaning bolt or wedge. Now, let's practice to write dirghoi. First, we will draw the matra. Then, start by making a loop under the middle of the matra and draw an incomplete clockwise arc like this. And again, it is traced back in upward direction and form a convex arc like this. Okay, this way you can practice writing dirghoi perfectly. The first letter we have here is to. It can occur in initial position in tori, which means boat, in medial position in batasha, which means a Bengali sweet, and in final position in boshot, which means settlement. The second letter is o. In initial position we have osho, which means horse. In medial and final position, o can't occur in its original form. The third letter we have here is a. It can occur in initial position in akash, which means sky, and it can't occur in final or medial position in its original form. The next we have here is akar. In initial position, we have chador, which means sheet. In medial position, we have pahar, which means hill. And in final position, we have chasha, which means farmer. The fourth letter is ha. In initial position, we have Hanuman, which means monkey. In medial position, we have Bohun, which means to carry. In final position, we have Boraho, which means pig. The next is Horshoi. In initial position, Roshoi occur in Idara, which means well. In medial position, we have Koraishuti, which means peas. In final position, we have Boi, which means book. Next we have also its diacritic form, Ikar. In initial position, it can occur in Giri, which means heel. In medial position, it can occur in Dokhin, which means south. In final position, Rashoikar. Now, let's take a word, Pakhi, which means bird. Note that the vowel sound of Roshoi is pronounced at the final position, but according to the Bangla orthography system, the Roshoikar always sit at the left side of the consonant. So, it can never occur at the final position of any Bangla words. Finally, we have Dirghoi. In initial position, we have Igol, which means eagle. Also in Dirghoi, Dirghoi can occur in its original form in medial and final position. The next we have here is Dirghoikar. In initial position, Dirghoikar occur in sheath, which means winter season. In medial position, it can occur in shorir, which means body. And in final position, it can occur in korobi, which means oleander. Wonderful! Keep on practicing these letters for perfection. See you in the next class.